So let's get started. My name is Cate Sword. I got to thinking about this. I always like to introduce myself at the beginning. How many of you had training with me so far before? All right. How many of you have had training with me but have never met me in person, in real life? Yeah, probably a lot of virtual. How many hear my voice but recognize it? But see, I look a lot taller in real life, don't I? Maybe a little younger even. All right, so those of you, the 6 of you that didn't have training with me before, I am an independent consultant. I work for myself. I do training on a lot of different things. I train on CAP and AutoCAD, that's where I kind of started, and Project Matrix, but most of my time is spent training on CET. I do some other work too, but that's most of my work is training on CET Designer, helping you guys get smarter, right? And that's what we're going to do today. This name is a little deceptive. It's really Edit Graphic Tricks, but that sounds so boring. So they spice it up. Hopefully you guys are ready for some advanced edit graphic tips. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. So this is an advanced one, so if it goes too fast, please give me a shout. Not a big PowerPoint user, so we're going to go through, we got a short PowerPoint. The PowerPoint that I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to add some steps to it and post it on the briefcase afterwards. So what we're going to do today, you ready, is we are going to take a square table and a round table and make it into a D-shaped table. All right? Sound good? We're going to slice and dice some work surfaces, right? Do some cutting. All right? We're going to split some meshes and change some fabrics, like put some different fabric on here. But maybe it doesn't come that way, but we'll do that. We're going to take a cushion, and this one starts off like a little 4-inch cushion. It's way too uncomfortable. I'm going to make it a 12-inch cushion right here. Do you see this little part right here? All about comfort. And then we're going to take a 9-drawer locker and make it a 12-drawer locker. And we're going to take the drawer that was here and move it to that side. Sounds simple? And then we'll have a few fun things we're going to do, like put in some cool doors and maybe a bay window. Good? And that's the PowerPoint. Thank you. All right. All right. So the PowerPoint, like I said, I'm going to add pages between every one of those that has just the steps that I went through. Not any details, just like pick here, do this, so that if you were like, what, I missed a step. And in your notes, you're like, there's, the miracle occurs step, right? So you might be able to catch that up. Sound good? All right. So there are like 3 chairs up here. And if you want, there's chairs on either side if you want to. No, they're like, no, we want to sit in back and heckle. Okay. So let's go start off with this. So I have this work surface, kind of a square. These are both Fika, so they're a little generic, right? And as I go through the training in here, I'm going to give you some other tips that we can use. No, it's not just about edit graphics. So let's say that I have these 2 tops, and I want to line them up with each other. Do y'all know that you can go up to a range and say, okay, align left, and then align up to center? Do you guys know that? On the range? Yeah. Okay, we got an advanced group in here. Awesome. So now they're lined up with each other. I'm going to use a tool called the Custom Shape tool. So you can do rectangular custom shapes, you can do circular custom shapes, and I'm going to do the custom shape, right? And that one, I'm just going to throw it down on the floor so y'all can see it, right? You can do a shape, put a piece of plywood on the floor. If you want to, you can, there's a nice little curve tool right here. So I can switch an edge to be a curve if I want to. That's weird. All right. Let's get that off there real quick. All right. So I did not mean to do that on purpose, seriously. All right. So we're going to do a custom shape, and I'm going to trace this guy. So I'm going to go grab this end, and I'll go to the middle there, and the middle here, and close. All right. Well, so what I can do now is add those curves, right? So I'll go up here and put a curve there. That looks good. And a curve there. And then a nice big curve over here. Good? Look good? That turned out very well. All right. And then what I'm going to do, so now I've got my top. This is the shape I want. I'm going to, it's thin. And I actually was drawing it on the top of the other top. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to give it a thickness, like maybe 1.25. That's about the thickness of a work surface, right? But did you see it go up? I don't want it to go up, I want it to go down. Okay, did you see I got that right here? All right, so what are we going to do with that? Well, I'm going to do a command called replace graphics. So we're going to go into edit graphics, symbols. Now we were going to talk about two different tabs in here. We have edit graphic symbols, which is when you modify the whole symbol as a whole. And then we have edit graphic meshes, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time. All right. And so under edit graphic symbols, I'm going to use my favorite command in here, which is replace graphic. How many of you have used replace graphic? We're going to take replace graphic to the top today. You're going to like this one. So replace graphic, I'm going to grab the symbol, the shape that I just drew, and I'm going to grab the table that I want to replace. And you see it kind of went to the floor there. So I'm going to change the Z so it goes up to the top. Everything else kind of looks good. And then I'm going to pick OK. So it just literally did a block swap. This guy still thinks it's the same symbol it was before. In fact, it probably still has the same tag. Everything is the same. If I right click and I go to query, right, it still is that same top. Does that make sense? So replace graphics is an awesome tool if you want to do a swap of the symbol but keep the same intelligence. Okay? And if this were a rectangular work surface, it would still snap like a rectangular work surface. You can still apply finishes to it, but it wouldn't look like those finishes are applied. It would just, the spec would have that. You'd have to paint it. Make sense? Right, but there's a bit of a problem. It doesn't have a leg to stand on. So we'll steal it from this top, okay? I don't really care that it doesn't have a leg yet. It's in the spec, so if you were just looking at this in plan view, you could get away with it, because it's still, the leg was part of it. Does that make sense to you guys? If I didn't want that leg there, I would have needed to remove it, you know, with my little support remover or something like that, but I do want it. So let's just steal the graphic from this one. I'm going to make it editable. Come over here. And I'm going to go to Edit Graphic Meshes. Now, what's a mesh? So some of you, in my mind, when I think of a mesh, I always think of just a flat surface, and that's not right at all. A mesh is sort of the word that you might use for a thing, right? This is kind of, I've kind of figured out that the cylinder could be a mesh. The whole chair could be a mesh. Yeah, sometimes it is just a surface. That's a mesh. So mesh, I don't really understand the full definition of it in here, except that I know that it could be anything from one face to the whole chair, all right? So when we're in the edit graphic meshes, we're going to work with these small pieces, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, and you can see I can work with the single meshes by this button right here. I'm working with each one. So I can click on, see the different ones in here. So I'm going to click this leg right here, foot, and the cylinder, and this one, and then that one. So you see how I just selected those 4 parts. I don't know why this one's a whole one and these are 2 halves. I didn't draw it. And so then what I'm going to do is copy it. And it says copy to the clipboard, but this did change about 6, maybe 8 months ago. It used to copy to the clipboard and you had to do Control-V. Now I want you to know it actually copies it in place. So it literally just set that down right there. All right? So be careful. If you hit copy a couple times, you're going to end up with a lot of meshes right on top of each other. So that copy, the function changed. It used to copy to the clipboard and we had to do a Control-V, and now it just copies it in place. All right? So if you didn't know that, so there's my leg that I'm going to move underneath my table. Now, a minute ago, I just used that arrange key to kind of line them up left and right. I can't do that now, but here's a little secret tool that a lot of people don't know about is there's a line distribute dialog. See where I'm putting right here? And in this dialog, there's a center right and center up and down. What do you think? Did you see me do that? Does anybody need me to do that again? Yeah. All right. So let's make it really obvious. Okay? I've got these two guys selected, and I'm going to center it on a line this way, and I'm going to center it this way. So some of you like draw a line and move to the center of the lines, right?
Where was the align?
Where is the secret tool? It's in the arrange pull down, second from the bottom. All right, so we have the same ones, the up, right, or left, right, up, down. They're in here too, but there's two bonus ones that aren't in there. Okay? Cool. All right. So now these are two separate things right now, the leg and the table. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my control key down, and this one can be thrown away. That's just a template. I'm going to hold my control key down and make a box around that whole thing. Okay? And I need to combine them so they're one entity. And so what I'm going to use is unite. And I always kind of joke around and say they're getting married, they're getting united. There you go. And they're going to use the snapper, which is sort of like the intelligence of the table, right? So it's telling me, which one do you want? And I'm going to say, I want that table. Now, sometimes if you had merged the legs from one table and the top from another table and you're putting together, it would give you two pieces of intelligence. It would tell you the intelligence from this table you grabbed here and this one there. So you kind of sometimes have to pick which one you want to, be the base part number of that.
So if you choose one for what you think your intelligence are, can you still do your stretch and pull based off of that part?
Once you made edit graphics, it's non-editable as far as the automation goes. Some symbols you can actually still do the stretch, the attributes change, but the symbol doesn't stretch. So you don't want to do that. No. Now, is this symbol a special right now? No. It's been edited, but it's not a special. Who can tell me how I make it a special? Anybody? Right click, query, make special, right? So editing a symbol, keep that in mind, editing a symbol does not make it special. Everybody's special, right? Or nobody is, I guess. All right, so there's our special top. Good? Any questions about this? We got
Both part numbers, correct? Like if you have two separate part numbers?
this one is right now because when I started, it had a top and a base, right? And so it still has two part numbers because that was part of it, right? Now, if I had wanted to put a different base on there, I would have needed to, and this with Fika I can't. I don't have a remove base with Fika, but in your extensions, you could take a top and you could remove the supports, so it's just the top, and replace that. Okay? All right. Good? All right, so let's keep going. I'm using alternatives, so I'm going to go up here, go to alternatives, and I'm going to go to number 2, to weird cuts. All right. Now, I know the first thing you guys are thinking is, why not do a replace graphics here? Just trace the top, and right? That's what I would do if it was normally for a work surface, I would. I need to cut this corner off, and I need to cut this little piece out. Well, because these work surfaces have something special. This particular work surface has like a wood front on it, right? And this work surface has kind of a rounded edge. So if I replaced it with replace graphics, it would be flat. Make sense? So I don't really want to do that. I want to maintain the shape. So, and it wouldn't be advanced if we could do it easily. Right? So we're going to go ahead and make this top editable. All right? And right now, I'm going to use a command called split mesh. And you can think about split mesh as like a knife slicing through it. Okay? And right now, if I were to do that, it would slice it on the sort of the X and the Y, because that's the orientation that it's going to default to. And what I need to do is I need to split it parallel with that wall. Make sense? So what we're going to use is we're going to use a command called the work plane right here. If you think about in AutoCAD, it's sort of like the UCS, right? It's your X and your Y, right? And we have two different work planes. We have X, Y, and Z. That's the 3D. I kind of want Z to stay going straight up. So I'm only going to change the X and the Y. And I want my X and Y to rotate to match that. Make sense? Okay? So I'm going to use a 2D work plane. And I'm going to come in here, and I like on curve. I know a lot of people don't, but I'm going to click on curve there and on curve there. And now do you see my work plane parallels that wall? Make sense? And so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to switch to group mode because I want to slice the whole symbol, not just the top. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to use the split mesh and check it out. First off, when you do split mesh, you can see in my input box, the one it's defaulting to is piece. And if you remember, I said the mesh could be like the whole chair, right? So it could be made up of pieces, and I want it to break down into smaller pieces. Like that table I just made, if I wanted to break it down so it was a top and the base, or something like that, I could do that. So I don't want to do piece. I could also do surface. So if I wanted to, if I had a top and I wanted to have the surface be separate from the sides, right, I could do that. But I'm actually going to use the X and the Y. Now look what, can you see in my 3D? For some reason, oops, the X is going this way. So what do I need? The Y, right? And I'm going to, again, loving that on curve, slice it. So let's see. There we go. And then all I have to do is go over and use my delete from here, not my delete up there, and delete out that top and that little piece. What do you think? Easy enough? Now, if you were using a Sawzall, your installers cut through that with a Sawzall, you wouldn't make it a special, right? You would probably go just put a note, cut and field. But if you were ordering it this way, you would do right-click, query, make special. Good? Any questions about that one? I'm sorry?
The last part one more time.
Where I deleted
Like
it?
you already did the work plane and then you.
Sure. Let's see. Let me undo. I don't know if I can undo. I'm going to have to revert. I'll have to do the whole thing over. So I changed my work plane. Right? I got to get it back over here so I have something to line up with. I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on the curve, on curve, and then I use split mesh, and I go spacebar till I'm at my Y. Do you see that? And then I just hovered over the wall, so it snapped to the wall. And then now I have separate pieces. Make sense? Okay?
So if you didn't want to remove that cut, you could add like a separate finish to that top. 'Cause it's
Sure.
separate. Okay.
Well, we're going to do that in a sec. Actually, we're going to put a stripe. Did I not say that? I must have gone through it too quick. Yeah, I'm going to put a stripe on this. So, good question, though. Nice segue. Let's say that we have a work surface here, and I want to put a stripe on it. But I also need to cut out this part, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make this editable. Okay. And now I don't really, on this one, I need to be in group mode, so I cut these side pieces in the back too. When I do my split mesh, right, oops, let's see if we can see it in 3D. Right, I don't want to do surface, piece, I don't want to do surface. I want to do X, so see how it's going, I'm going to just hit on the curve right here. Does that make sense? And then Y. Can you see the Y in the 3D? I'll go right there. And so that cut that off. So now I can go in here and go and delete these pieces out. Let's see, did I do it right? Maybe. No. So I have this problem every now and then, is I didn't have the surface selected beforehand and I only cut the top. Do you see that? So that I want to cut the side too at the same time. So I just can't undo. I'm gonna revert this one. I'll do it again. All right. So this time, I'm going to select. I'm going to select the edge, right? Let's just make sure we get the whole thing. There we go. All right. So when I do my slice, split mesh. There we go. That time I got it. I can see already, see the lines right here? I don't know if you can see it. Okay? So now what I'll do is I'm going to go up and hit my delete and delete this, this, this. And it actually is well-drawn symbol. They actually have a bottom to it. All right? But that doesn't really look that good, right? Because there's a line right here. And so what I can do is actually the opposite from split mesh is fuse mesh. I'm going to grab in my single select mode, just so you can see it. I'm going to hold my control, grab those two tops, and I'm going to fuse them back together. And now that line is gone. All right, and I can do the same for this little edge right here. Hold my control key down and fuse them back together. Do you see where I'm getting that? Pretty cool. So let's say we want to put a stripe on these work surfaces. All right, I'm going to go in, split mesh, and hit my space bar till I get to Y. All right, and then, so then I can go into, let's go to the 3D tab and maybe load my materials. And let's see, wood. Not wall covering. All right, and let's do like this nice mahogany. Now, here's a little tip. Do you see when I click on it in 2D, how it selects all? When I do it in 3D, I can pick my surface. How many of you have tabbed through in 3D to get to all? All you had to do is go up here and click in 2D. Right? So like if you need to change the whole thing, you have a whole thing, do it in the 2D. Fun tip, huh? Good? Useful? I'm going to throw that back in there. All right. Questions? You're ready to go put stripes on all your work surfaces, aren't you? All right. And the whole point of this was to make sure you understand, I still have this nice bull nose, right? So if you have a weird edge or something like that, you have a custom table that has a line down the middle, that's when you're going to use the slice tool. All right. So now I'm going to go a little bit more into split mesh. So we'll talk some more about meshes for a minute, okay? So I've got a couple random chairs in here, all right? And these actually are catalog symbols, so let me make a point. Everything that I'm doing can be done on a smart symbol that you've got, on a catalog symbol, on a project matrix symbol, even on a SketchUp symbol, right? If it's like done on a door or a wall, anything that I'm doing in here, you can do on any symbol in here. So edit graphics isn't limited just to furniture or something like that. Good? So I just want to make sure y'all all are aware of that. Let's go ahead and go into edit graphics. I'm going to make this guy editable. I'm going to make this guy editable. And then I'm going to go to the second tab here. And you'll notice that when I click on it, it's the meshes. So they made like both arms one mesh. They made the body one mesh and the base one mesh. And this is actually pretty typical. Let me make this guy same thing. And that is, if you look at it, and I'm going to open my mesh dialog for a second. A lot of the catalog symbols, they do the mesh, they combine everything to this one color to make your life easier. Because if you bring in sort of like a project matrix symbol or a SketchUp symbol and you're trying to change the color, you're going, clicking on all the faces, they've already done this for you. So the one color is all one mesh, all right? Does that make sense? Okay, so I don't want it to be that way. I actually want this to be broken down because I want to do this headrest in a different material, okay? So I'm going to go in here to split mesh, and this time I'm going to use piece because they really did draw this in separate pieces. So I'm going to just hit piece. I'm going to click on that. Yeah, piece. All right. So now, good? Okay. So let's go into a material, and we're going to Material Explorer. And I made some fabrics, some harem fabrics, and I've got this crazy one right here. And I'm going to apply it. And I'm going to admit something to you guys. This doesn't look really good. It's not applying correctly. And in the last session, I learned something from Johan Lindholm. He was in here, and he said, click on that surface. And he said, go to auto UV and hit that. Watch this, you guys. It's in the mesh dialog. It's this button. I've never used it before until today. And it takes the fabric and it fixes it. So you have to be in the mesh dialog. Click on the face, and there's this little auto UV button. Who knew? So now the fabric is applied correctly and crazily, I might add. Good? So if you have a fabric that's not applying correctly, try that auto UV. It's going to help. I don't guarantee that it's always going to work, but, or if you have a symbol that is not applying correctly, you might have to make it editable and then do this. But making something editable doesn't make it special. It just means you can tweak it. Good? I like that. All right. So now I've got this sofa, chair. What do you guys call this thing? A settee. And it doesn't look very comfortable. The cushions are thin. I'm just going to go in here. And again, this is all one mesh. And so I'm going to go split mesh. And I'm going to do it by piece. It is defaulting to medium. I could go a little higher. Medium works for me, but sometimes you can try it again. Like if I wanted to split this even further, like if I'd gone higher, I would have gotten these two cushions to be separate cushions. You know what I mean? I want them to be the same, so it's okay. I'm good with that, right? And so now I can just use my stretch command, right? And 12 inches. Let's just go 12 inches and enter. Easy? That looks more comfortable, don't you think? All right, any questions? Okay, let's keep going. Yeah.
When you did the auto UV, how did it know what?
I have no idea how it knew anything, honestly. I just learned it an hour ago. I just know that sometimes fabrics apply funky, and I don't have any programmers in here who could, like, I don't know why it did it.
I just didn't know, like, if it knew its repeat pattern to know where to stop and start.
So that's really what you would do when you create the material. So when I downloaded that JPEG from Maharam, because I made that material, on Maharam, they're really good about this information. I scrolled down, underneath the material was like the repeat, and then I typed that information in to my material. So if I would use that material on, say, a wall, it would repeat correctly. So I think what that auto UV did is it applied that information from my material to that cushion. I'm hoping that's what happened. Okay? It's maybe next year I'll teach you about that when I learn more about it. Right? Okay, so we got a few more things to do. We're running out of, I think I go to noon, right? Who's my person in here? Huh? Oh, good, I got a half hour. So loads of time. Okay. Let's see. Now, we're going to use the mesh dialog a little bit more. I've got this 3 by 3, and I want to make it a 4 by 3. I'm going to go ahead and make it editable. And when I go and click on, say, the outside edge of it, you see that it just selects the 3 sides. And I want to grab the whole case. I want to stretch the case and then copy 3 drawers. Okay, doors. 3 doors. But I'm having a hard time because I need to grab the base. Oh, there, I grabbed it. Last time I couldn't seem to grab the base to save my life. All right, so to make life a little easier, we're going to use the mesh dialog, which I keep popping open. And when I click on it, the mesh dialog is going to give you everything that's made, this symbol's made up of. So there's a lot of things going on here. Do you see that? Right? And what's nice about the mesh dialog is sometimes, not always, but sometimes they're grouped nicely. And this one is actually grouped nicely, and if, like almost like chapters. So if I go up 1 level, I'm going to grab all the things that make the case. So watch what I do. When I click right here on node, which is 1 up 1 level, do you see how it grabbed the whole case? Can you see that? So that's nice. Let me just do it again. So if I click on the edge, and there's a whole bunch of things that make this, see, there's the tops, the edges, all the different parts that make that up. But if I click here, it grabs the whole case. Got it? So like for example, I couldn't actually grab this piece on the inside at all. I mean, it's literally behind another face. I couldn't grab it. So what I'm going to do, use my friend the stretch and click here. And it's a 36 and I'm going to make it a 48. I like these nice sizes. All right? Good? Now if I click on this door right here, this door is actually made up of a whole lot. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meshes make up that door unit, right? Between the lock, the handle, and then the back, the front, the sides, right? So by going up to node right here, one more up, I get the whole door, everything that makes up that door. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Now I could copy this door and move it, but I want to copy all 3 at the same time. So I'm thinking I'll just go up another level, right? So I'll go to here. Oh, well, it's not going to work because they're going this way, right? Hold my control key down, and I'm just going to go back and click that. All right, so I actually could spend some time in here with you guys going through and clicking through and finding them all, but I kind of figured out the pattern pretty quick. This is the drawer right below. I hold my control key down and grab that. Can you see that? And then this is the drawer right below that. Does that make sense? So I just clicked all 3 of those drawers. It looks easy here, but I did spend some time sort of figuring out where they were in the pattern of this, okay? So now I've got the 3 doors selected, and I'm going to just copy them, right? So over here, I hit copy. It puts them right on top of the others. I'm going to use position, just my regular position command, because they're not really part of the other symbol. I'll pull in this direction. I'm going to type 12 inches and enter. And there we go. It's not one symbol yet, though, right? What do I have to do to it? Anybody? Unite. So I'm going to hold my control key down, make a box around the whole business, and I'm going to make it into, I'm going to hit unite. And the only reason I'm doing unite, it doesn't really matter necessarily for the spec or anything. It's just that if I move that ladder, if I move that cabinet, I don't want to leave the doors behind, right? So now it's one entity again. Okay? Make sense? Yeah.
Question. Could you show how you went into the mesh dialog? How did you open it?
Oh yeah, it's right, it's a button right here. You see it? Okay? All right, so we'll leave the mesh dialog open for a few more minutes. So we're going to do this one. This one's going to be a little bit harder. So let's just say for some reason we have this desk that has a drawer on either side, and this little drawer actually needs to be mounted on this other side. There's a built-in there that's in the way. And now probably this thing, my installers could probably unscrew the feet and move it over and screw it in. So it's really probably not even a special. I'm just assuming that. But I still have to show the graphic on the other side, right? So let's go ahead and make it editable. Maybe, I don't know, it's HBF. Does anybody know if I'd have to have it special? It doesn't matter. It's going to be a special. We're going to go make editable and click on it. This is a project matrix symbol, by the way, which is why it's got those festive colors in 3D. You all recognize those, right? Because nobody would order anything those colors. All right. But what happened in 3D, it also happens now in 2D. And a little tip that you might like is that if you're trying to see the little drawers in 2D, if you go up to the Properties button right here and click Uncheck Fill, do you see where it says Fill right here? Then you can see through things. So in Properties, there's a checkbox for Fill. Now this is kind of cool. Now let's say that you have nothing to do with specials, but you're trying to print something and something else is underneath something, and you're irritated because it's not showing up in your plot. Take that thing that's on top, make it editable, and then when you turn off Fill, it'll print that way.
You're a genius. I've been struggling with that. So
I'm a genius? Thank you. I didn't make up the command. But yeah, you can uncheck Fill. Now there is a little thing you might want to report. I hate to point out bugs, but my fill keeps turning back on when I exit out, which is great for my presentation because I have to turn it off every time. But in real life, I wish it would stay off. So you might, if that does bother you, send that in as a feature request that it retains that information. Okay? So we turned off fill. So now we can see our little drawers. Good? Oh, I guess while I'm right here, when I'm in properties, how many of you have a hard time seeing your cup or your cup planes in 3D? Anybody have a hard time seeing the cup planes? I usually go in and turn all these things on so you can see those cup planes in 3D. If you're ever having difficulty with that, that's the first thing I set when I go and edit graphics is turn those all on. And they stay on. Those do say they're persistent, and once you do it one time, you're good for good. You know, that's one of those settings you do at the beginning. All right. All right, so I need to move this drawer. Let's look at it for a second. So this symbol was really well drawn. I'll be honest. Can you guys see that it actually has the glides in here? Did you see that? Like there's, somebody went a little, and I mean just clicking on that, trying to get that, there's no way, right? Look at that. It's a finely drawn symbol. Good thing I have my mesh dialog. Look at this stuff in here. Look at all these meshes. So I clicked on the front of this drawer, and it's highlighted right here. And I'm going to hold my control key down. Okay, so this must be the sides to the front, or the little piece that's right behind the front of the door, right? So I'm going to go up to the node. Got it? Oh, do you see what happened? I got the drawer on both sides. Well, I don't want the drawer on both sides. I only want, I'm hold my control, I only want these two. Now I can already see a problem. Trying to go through here and hit control and get all the faces that I want, I'm going to mess it up. And I'm going to say nasty things. All right. So I'm going to use this little tool called rename. And I'm going to put in here a D for drawer. How's that? So now, do you see the little two Ds right here? Can you guys see that? Right? So now I can go and say, let me grab the sides. Oops, let's just grab the sides. What the heck? I'm just clicking crazy all over the place. There we go. So again, this one does the same thing. If I go, it grabs the drawers up here. Do you see that? So I don't want that. And then I'm going to do rename. I'm going to add the letter D. So this is a little bit tedious, but if you're obsessed like me with getting it right? So let's see, what else do I want? Oh, I know. And another thing that I have done before, when I'm trying to find something, I might just click through all these and say, oh, there it is. You know what I mean? You can start clicking through and you'll see different things highlight. Oh, this is that little wheel right here. I mean, the little nubbin. Do you see that little thing there? I don't, what would you call that? That foot. Nubbin probably is the wrong word. There, I want that foot. I'm going to hold my control key. So now I've got these 4 feet. Do you see that? So let's rename them. And I am still looking for the rails. Nope. Here it is. You see it? Awesome. All right, so now that I have this drawer, I can actually go through and click on all the ones that have D's on them. Make sense? Now, I have to tell you guys, how many of you have sat in past users conferences on the Edit Graphics by Magnus, right? A lot of you know Magnus, pretty cool guy. So I went and talked to Magnus before I did this, and I said, hey, you know, how would you do this? And what Magnus said is he would detach this, and then position, move it, and then reattach it. Like, whatever, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to move it, okay? So there are many ways you can do things, all right? I want you to keep in mind that you may find detaching and moving and reattaching the way to go, right? I'm just going to live on the edge a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to use this move command right here, and I'm going to grab kind of on the side of my little cabinet, and I want it to move in this direction. And if you remember, I can hit my left arrow key and it'll only go into the left. Do you guys know that? All right. So no matter where I move my mouse, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the edge of this other drawer so they line up perfectly. What do you think? a lot of work to move a drawer. But if you had a bunch of them, make it a favorite, save it over and over again, at least it's right. And you might notice in my PowerPoint I didn't do it right. I actually left the four little posts in there. And if I had done that, I probably would have gone, personally I would have redone it. But you could also just delete those 4 posts on that side. Okay? Questions? Yeah.
Would you be able to?
You're going to have to talk louder. I don't hear very well.
Sorry, would you be able to press Control and pull your mouse?
That's a great question. No. The symbol is all one symbol. It's so if I were to control through it, I would hit the whole symbol. It's not, you have to use all the tools over here, and they don't have really anything built in to here with the, I know what you're saying. Like if I had multiple symbols, I could hit Control and grab multiple symbols. But no, you can't. It seems like you would be able to just hit Control and just make a box around that. No, and even if you did a little tiny box, you'll grab the whole symbol. Because it's one symbol, and that tool grabs the whole symbol. Good question, though. Anybody else have a question? All right, so let's keep going. So we've gotten through the hard part. Now we're going to do some fun. I need to make a shortcut for alternatives. So we're going to do some cool stuff with replace. How's that? All right. So I've got some doors on here. Now sometimes people, I don't know this, but does anybody not know how to make a double door? A few people in here are like, how did you do that double door? Yeah. All right. So all you have to do is actually pretty easy. You double click on the door, or you right click and go to query, or properties, sorry. And then this dialog comes up, and you can go up here and say left, right, double. Okay? You guys can admit that you didn't know that one. That's okay. All right? And also, while you're in properties, if you haven't been here before, there's loads of cool things. You can make a door glass, right? You can add, like mullions. This is an old joke. You guys probably heard it, but there's a fine line between a prison and a French door, right? Okay, replace graphics. Another fine use for replace graphics.
And you just scaled it, your double door feature and the handles?
I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't hear you.
It looks like you lost the double door feature and the handle.
Yep. Well, the handles would have been part of the symbol I downloaded. So I probably should have downloaded a symbol that had handles, right? So that's one thing. The swing is gone. You're right. You would probably have to draw on, like.
Well, not that swing in the 3D. It doesn't look. It looks like one big solid piece.
Well, I kind of downloaded a door that's probably could have used a better graphic. Yeah. I just downloaded.
I didn't know if it just went away because you made it.
No, it was because I didn't spend enough time getting a quality symbol. But you could point that out some more. To be honest, my next door, I kind of forgot to look for one with a handle too. This guy's missing a handle as well. And after I downloaded it and did my whole presentation and got my PowerPoint all done, I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's no handles. So
It's just that somebody created a poor quality door.
it's not, it was a SketchUp symbol. You get what you pay for, right? They're free. So, all right, so let's do this door. Right, but when I downloaded this door, have you ever downloaded a symbol and you get 2 or 3 and you're like, I don't want all of them, I just want the one, right? So again, to my friends at Edit Graphics, I'm going to make it editable. All right, and then what I'm going to do on single select mode, I'm just going to click somewhere on this door, and now that we know how to use the mesh dialog, we are going to be super powerful. We're just going to grab that node. We just grabbed that whole door. Do you see how easy that was? You don't have to click around and try and get all the faces. Love mesh dialog, don't you? And then I'm just going to do copy, and it's going to copy it right on top of the other one. So there's my door. Make sense? Let's move her over here. It's a giant door. I wonder what scale they made that in. All right. So here we go. Replace graphics. It's in the Simple tab, Replace Graphics. I grab this door. I grab my double door that I've got here. Uh-oh. All right, so this is not good, right? But it actually, we can fix that. We can just go over here and change the Z. Oh, it's upside down. So there, okay? And then I'll just scale it so it fits. Boom, boom, boom. Makes sense? So how many times have you, well, anyway, so there's a door. I'm gonna delete this. A door without a handle. It's a push. Good? All right, so then I was like, okay, I'll do these windows. And I thought, I actually like this one better, but it's the wrong angle. You ever download a symbol from SketchUp and it's laying down? And you're like, I want it to be sitting up? Now it's not a problem anymore, is it? Right? So let's just use this laying down window and bring it over. Sound good? And I actually put a hole in here. I don't know what I was thinking. Instead of a window, there's a hole. Doesn't matter. Still works. Right? So I'm going to hit replace graphics. I'm going to grab my laying down window and I'm going to grab the hole. And it's laying down, so I'll just rotate it on the 90. And this time I'm going to scale it in the W, the width, and the height, but I'm not going to scale it in the depth. Do you see that? Because I want it to retain its, but it's actually, I know it's a little zoomed out a little far, so you can't see it. It's not on there right, so I'm going to change the Y. See how it jumped forward there? I'll pick OK. Cool. Well, kind of cool. There's a bit of a hole. It looks good from this side. Doesn't look good from this side, does it? So I looked at this when I did it the first time. I'm like, why is that happening like that? Well, it turns out this thing is only like a ½ inch thick, right? And my wall is 5 inches thick. So what I'm going to do is make this thicker. Got it? So back to my edit graphics. First, I'm going to move it up because it's hard to go down through the floor. So I'm just going to hit my page up key. Move it up a little bit. Okay? So I just moved it up a little in the Z, right? And then I'm going to make this guy editable. And I'm in the edit graphics symbols, so I'm going to edit the whole symbol. And I'm going to stretch it, right? If I stretch it like I'm stretching the whole symbol, isn't it? So I don't want to do that. What do I need? Who knows? Cut plane, exactly. So I'm going to go, here's the X. I hit my space bar, Y, and Z. You got to be super careful that I get it on that little teeny tiny bit right here. Let's see if I can get in there. And sometimes it jumps around too much. A little tip, if you hold your shift key down, it lets it be free form. It doesn't snap. So I'm just going to put it right there. Look good? Okay? Yeah, you're like, whatever. All right, going to stretch. Sweet. All right, so usually I type in what I want my overall to be, and I don't really know what my overall is going to be, right? From the top of the, in this case, the top of the window to the bottom. So if I just hit my tab key, I can go and say I'm going to add 5 inches. So I'll just type 5 and enter. So now I have a nice thick frame to my window, right? Looks pretty good. So let's do this again. So I'm going to go ahead and revert this one back. So there's the revert key. Let's put it back to a hole. Got it? And let's try again. Replace graphics. Grab that. Grab the hole. We're going to change it to 90. We're going to scale it in the H and the W, but not the D. You know what? Let me zoom in here. I keep forgetting to zoom in so you guys can see it. Let me do it again. You can't zoom while you're in that dialogue. So and so now you see how it's way out here? I'm going to hit this and then OK. No holes, no gaps. What do you think? Some fun stuff? Does this give you guys inspiration to do more edit graphics and sort of play around a little bit? Yeah.
Just a quick question. So, can you go in with your surface materials and change those SketchUps?
Yes,
if you want?
absolutely. And the thing is too, so you remember when I was, the mesh dialog, how if the mesh dialog came up on this symbol, let me just show you something. That's a good question. If I clicked on this symbol, come on, Mesh Dialog, and it only has 2 meshes, that's actually going to be good for me because there's only really the glass and the wood. If sometimes you're going to see they made it all one mesh, so then you might start exploding it, like splitting it, but you can just paint it that way, just like you could your work surfaces, just like everything else. Okay? Now I want to show you guys something I just realized I forgot to show you, is that you can also, let's say that I don't really want to use this window in a wall. I just brought in a SketchUp symbol and it's on its back and I want to flip it. You can actually use in the Edit Graphic Meshes, go to the group mode here, this button right here, right? And grab this window and use the rotate command and just rotate, say, on the side like this. Now, I probably could have rotated it before I did that replace, but why would I? It has it built in. But if you do download a SketchUp symbol and it's laying on the, it's laying on its back, and you just want to use it, make it editable, and then use that rotate to put it in the angle you want. Or you download a pillow, and you don't want it to be sitting up like that. I've done this before. You get a little pillow you want to put on your sofa, and it's like this. Like I just want to tilt it, right? Make it editable. Take the rotate and tilt it, and then copy another one, tilt it a little this way, do a little home decorating, right? Any other questions? Are you guys overwhelmed? You're hungry, aren't you? All right, I think we're about 3 minutes in, so we're good. That was our time. You can, like I said, the PowerPoint will be up there. You can have me or Hannah, she was bent down, sign for your CEUs. You get CEUs for this. If anybody needs a business card, I've got them up here. And you guys enjoy the rest of the 2 days. See you.